I'm not sure that the news inspires me with feelings of unmixed delight. I'm very fond of you, Cecily. I've liked you ever since I met you, but now that I know that you're Mr. Worthing's ward, I cannot help but state a wish that you were, well, just a little bit older than you seem to be, not quite so very alluring in appearance. If I may speak candidly.
Pray do. I think that whenever one has anything unpleasant to say, one should always be quite candid.
Well, to speak candor, Cecily, I wish you were fully 42 and more than usually plain for your age. Ernest has a strong upright nature. He's the very soul of truth and honor. Disloyalty would be as impossible to him as deception. But even men of the most noblest possible moral character are susceptible to the physical charms of others. Modern, no less than ancient history, supplies us with many painful examples of what I refer to. If it were not so, history would be quite unreadable.
I beg your pardon, Gwendolyn. Did you say Ernest?
Yes.
Oh, but it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is my guardian. It is his brother, his elder brother.
Ernest never mentioned to me that he had a brother.
I'm afraid they have not been on good terms for a long time.
Oh, well, that accounts for it. And now that I think of it, I have never heard of any man mentioning his brother. Well, the subject seems distasteful to men. Cecily, you have lifted a load from my mind. I was growing almost anxious. Well, it would have been awful if any crowd had come across a friendship like ours, would it not? But you are quite sure it is not Mr. Ernest Worthing who is your guardian?
Quite sure. In fact, I'm going to be his.
I beg your pardon?
My dearest Gwendolyn, there's no reason why I should keep it a secret to you. Our little county newspaper is sure to chronicle the fact next week. Mr. Ernest Worthing and I are engaged to be married.
I feel there must be some slight error, Miss Cardew. Mr. Ernest Worthing is engaged to me. The announcement will appear in the Morning Post on Saturday at latest.
You must be under some strange misconception, Miss Fairfax, for Ernest proposed to me exactly 10 minutes ago. You can read the entry.
It is certainly very curious, for Mr. Ernest Worthing asked me to be his wife yesterday afternoon at 5:30. If you would like to verify the incident, pray do so. I never travel without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read on the train. I'm so sorry, dear Cecily, if it is any disappointment to you, but it seems that I have the brag claim.
My dearest Gwendolyn, I'm sorry if I caused you any mental or physical anguish, but since Ernest has proposed to you, he has clearly changed his mind.
If the poor fellow has been entrapped into any foolish promise, I shall consider it my duty to rescue him, and with a firm hand.
If my poor boy has gotten himself into any type of entanglement, I will never reproach him with it after we are married.
Do you allude to me, Miss Cardew, as an entanglement? You are presumptuous. On an occasion such as this, it becomes more than one's moral duty to speak one's mind. It becomes a pleasure.
Do you suggest, Miss Fairfax, that I entrapped Ernest into an engagement? How dare you? This is no time for the shallow mask of manners. When I see a spade, I call it a spade.
Well, I am glad to say that I have never seen a spade. It is obvious our social spheres have been widely different.
Shall I lay tea?
As usual, miss.
Yes, as usual.
There are many interesting walks in the vicinity, Miss Cardew.
Oh yes, a great many. From the top of one of the hills quite close, one can see as many as 5 counties.
5 counties? Well, I don't think I should like that. I hate crowds.
Oh, I suppose that is why you live in town.
Quite a welcome garden this is, Miss Cardew.
So glad you like it, Miss Fairfax.
I had no idea there were so many flowers in the country.
Oh, flowers are as common here, Miss Fairfax, as people are in London.
Personally, I cannot understand how anybody exists in the country, if anybody who is anybody does. The country always bores me to death.
Oh, this is what the newspapers call agricultural depression, is it not? I hear the aristocracy are suffering very much from it just at present. I've been told it's almost an epidemic amongst them. Would you like some tea, Miss Fairfax?
Thank you. Detestable girl, would I require tea?
Sugar?
No, thank you. Sugar is not fashionable anymore.
Cake or bread and butter?
Bread and butter, please. Cake is rarely seen in the best houses nowadays.
Hand that to Miss Fairfax.
have filled my tea with lumps of sugar. And though I asked most distinctly for bread and butter, you have given me cake. I know the gentleness of my disposition and the extraordinary sweetness of my nature. But I warn you, Miss Cardew, you may go too far.
To save my poor innocent trusting boy from the machinations of any other woman, there are no lengths to which I would not go.
Oh, from the moment I saw you, I distrusted you. I felt that you were false and deceitful. My first impressions of people are invariably right.
It seems to me, Miss Fairfax, that I'm trespassing on your valuable time. Indeed, you probably have similar calls of the similar character to make in the neighborhood.
Ernest,
Gwendolyn, darling.
a moment, please. May I ask if you're engaged to be married to this young lady?
To little Cecily? Of course not. What could have put such a silly idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you. You may come.
My dear Miss Fairfax, I knew there must have been some strange mistake. The gentleman whose arm is at present round your waist is my guardian, Mr. John Worthing.
I beg your pardon?
This is Uncle Jack.
Jack!
Oh!
My Here is Ernest.
love.
A moment, Earnest. Would you kindly answer me the following question? Are you engaged to be married to this young lady?
To what young lady? Good heavens, Gwendolyn!
Yes, to good heavens, Gwendolyn. I'm Mr. Gwendolyn.
What could have put such an idea into your pretty little head?
Thank you, you may.
I felt there must be some slight error, Miss Cardew. The man who is now embracing you is my cousin, Mr. Algernon Moncrief.
Algernon Moncrief? Oh, is your name Algernon?
I cannot deny it.
Are you really called John?
I could deny it if I liked. I could deny anything if I liked. However, my name is John. It has been for years.
A gross deception has been practiced on both of us.
My poor wounded Cecily.
My sweet, wronged Gwendolyn.
You will always call me sister, won't you?
I would just like to be allowed to ask one question to my guardian.
An admirable idea. Mr. Worthing, there's just one question I would like to be permitted to put to you. Where is your brother Ernest? We are both engaged to be married to your brother Ernest, so it is a matter of some slight importance for us to know where your brother Ernest is at present.
Gwendolyn, Cecily, it is a very painful thing to be forced to tell the truth. In fact, this is the first time in my life I have ever been forced into such a painful position, and so I am not quite experienced at it. However, I must tell you that I have no brother named Ernest. I have no brother at all. I have never had a brother, and I have no intentions whatsoever of having a brother in the future.
No brother at all?
None.
You have never had a brother of any kind?
Never, not even of any kind.
Well, it is quite clear that neither of us is engaged to be married to anyone.
It is not a very pleasant position for a young girl to find herself in, is it?
Let us go into the house. They will hardly venture to come after us there.
Certainly not. Men are so cowardly, aren't they?
This ghastly state of things is what you call bundering, I suppose.
Oh, yes, what a wonderful bunbury this is.
You have
This is
no
the most
right-
wonderful bunbury I have ever had.
You have no right whatsoever to bunbury here.
That's absurd. One has a right to bunbury anywhere one chooses. Every serious bunburyist knows that.
Serious, bunburyous, good heavens.
Well, one must be serious about something if he wishes to retain any sort of amusement in life. I happen to be serious about bunburying. What you are serious about, I haven't the slightest idea. About everything, I should fancy. You have such an absolutely trivial nature.
The only small satisfaction I have in any of this wretched business is that your friend Bunbury is quite exploded. You won't be able to go to the country quite so often, and a good thing too.
Your brother's a little off-colored, isn't he, dear Jack? You won't be able to slip up into town quite so often as your wicked custom was. Not a bad thing either.
As toward your conduct toward Miss Cardew, I think your taking in a sweet, simple, innocent girl is inexcusable, to say nothing of the fact that she is my ward.
I can see no possible defense at all for your receiving a brilliant, clever, thoroughly experienced young woman like Miss Fairfax, to say nothing of the fact that she is my cousin.
I want to be engaged to Gwendolyn. That is all. I love her.
I simply wanted to be engaged to Cecily. I adore her.
Well, there's no chance of that ever happening.
There is very little likelihood, Jack, of you and Miss Fairfax being united.
That is no business of yours.
If it were my business, I wouldn't talk about it. Only people like stockbrokers do that, and then only at dinner parties.
How you can